quite a restorative mobility and flexibility based class today. And we're going to take 5 more breaths here. Good, and just 2 more big inhalations. And they can be audible exhalations if that feels natural to you. So drawing the knees into the chest and just pulling them apart lightly, hugging them either side of your rib cage. Inhale, exhale. And you might feel the tailbone lift slightly off the floor. Try to keep it grounded. So we're just extending the rear hip here. Lay down. Creating some space around the low back there. 2 more. Big squeeze. Relax the shoulders. Try not to let them jump up to the ears. And 1 more time. Excellent. I'm going to relax one knee now, and then grab for with the opposite hand the knee that you've kept upright. You can bend the second leg if this feels uncomfortable on your hip flexors. That should be okay. Otherwise, you can elevate that leg. So I'm just going to pull the knee across the body for cross-body twist. Only as far as I can go without the opposite shoulder lifting. And then coming back. Let's do that 4 more times, so 5 in total. Draw the knee across the body, keep the shoulder planted, only as far as we can go, comfortably, both shoulders anchored. And my opposite arm, you can't see it, but it's lengthened, really lengthened at shoulder height. 2 to go. So this is a really nice motion for the spine, getting a little bit of a twist in, and you might feel a stretch for the chest and the shoulders too. Good, 2 more, maybe a couple of clicks, a couple of really relieving pops, that's fine. 1 more time, not forcing it, just seeing maybe I can get a little bit more space this time. It might be that exterior hip that you feel that stretching as well, the lateral side of the hip. So let's change legs, lying one long, reaching around the knee with the hand, and then I'm going to go the opposite way. Twist. Come back. Making my observations. How does it feel on this side? Is it a bit tighter? Is my shoulder wanting to lift a little bit more? Or is it pretty good actually? 2 to go. And you can say that, you know, we can be critical, but we can also say, hey, you know what? Actually, this mobility is paying off and I'm feeling quite loose as it is. It's a nice place to be maintaining. Perfect. So bringing both knees onto one side now and lying the bottom arm out long. We're going to stay in this kind of fetal position with the lower body and we're going to go through wipers. So reach around, open up the arms and then sweeping around the top of the head. So coming across the body with the arm, aiming to plant the arm down, and then a big sweep around the other way. And just like with your strength training, the mobility is about adapting to you. So there, you know, it might not look the same as me, and it might not look the same as anyone else's. That's just because, you know, your body is different. So if you have to make modifications, that's fine. And maybe that part of that modification is just reducing the range. And 2 to go, sweeping across. Coming back around over the head, and 1 more time. Big breath, keep tapping into your breath throughout the class. Really nice. So now we're going to do that on the opposite side. So flipping the knees the other way, arms the other way, and now you can see kind of how this will work a little on the other side. Planting the shoulder, sweeping around over the head. I really like to focus on doing a lot of twisting work. If I've got a day of kind of admin tasks ahead, a day that might be quite stationary, just really nice to bring some warmth to the back. And we probably don't go through rotation as much as we should. Good. Inhale, exhale, 2 more. Inhale, feel that twist through the waist. Really nice. Maybe clunking in the shoulder, pay attention to that. One more time, sweeping over. Good, and then coming back onto the knees. So our last twisting movement here, knees over hips. I'm going to go for a bit of a pendulum here. Palms are open to the ceiling. I'm going to flare my legs to the side and kick the top leg. Come back and kick the other way. So the top leg extends. It's a really nice one for the, again, the lateral hip, the glute medius you might feel, or maybe just the glute in general if it's quite tight. But otherwise, low back and spine here. A little kick, maybe it's getting bigger and bigger as you're getting a bit more space off the back of those twists we've just done there for the mid-spine, lower spine. And if that's feeling cool, try taking your head the opposite way each time from the direction that leg kicks in. So foot to the left, head to the right. Foot to the right, head to the left. Just a little bigger through that twist. And one more each side. Maybe reaching for the foot. Nice, cool, good. And then coming back, planting the feet. So we've got angel wings to look at now, and a lot of you will have these in your program already. The reason being it's really, really good movement to do to practice keeping the neck happy, so tucking the chin, trying to press the back of the neck into the floor. And from there, you can really feel how tight the shoulders, chest are as well, which we tend to get quite stiff in when we're working from home, which a lot of us are doing at the moment, and also just from being on our phones and whatnot as well. So sliding up, sliding back down. Elbows are driving into the rib cage, reaching overhead. And if you are a bit limited here, you'll notice that the wrists want to pop up off the ground, and that's totally fine. You know, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Again, everyone's is going to look different. And bearing in mind, especially when you see the videos of me and whatnot doing it on your programs, that obviously I do quite a lot to demonstrate it as well. So try not to compare yourself. Just focus on you right now, focus on your breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good, big breath in, reach up. Exhale, pull down. Good. Okay, so bringing your feet, paying attention to your feet now, drawing them in underneath your knees, and we're going to make sure the pelvis is in a tucked position so that the back of the hips come bam, flat against the floor, so neutral pelvis. From here, we're going to lift the hips slightly, and we're going to do the same thing. The shoulders are tucking ever so slightly underneath, and I'm going for some glute activation here, some core work within this by doing the same movement, doing our angel wings with that tuck of the hips. And I know that might seem like hard work, and I said it would be easy, but we can't just work on lengthening in our range, we have to work on strengthening too. So telling our core that this is a safe position is really going to help us keep our body mobile as well. Otherwise it'll freeze up sometimes and the hips will want to go the other way, the way that they are when we're sitting down. Good, you've got 2 more here. Keep pulling the elbows down, keep making sure your hips are tucked. Again, letting your body know with your breath, this is a nice position to be in. And lowering the hips down from there. Awesome. So grabbing behind the knees, we're going to go for some back rocks here. You want to tuck your chin lightly, lift the shoulders ever so slightly off the floor so you're gazing between the knees, and then we're going to rock forwards, back. Start small, use a little bit of momentum from the legs, really, really crunching in the upper abs to help you roll across the spine. Quite nice on a mat or a soft surface. And gradually getting bigger, 4. Breathe with it. Good, I've got my elbows bent, 3. Yeah, it's fun, it's playful as well, 2. And last one, you might even feel it massaging your back if you've got tightness there. And coming up to seat. So seated position from here. We are going to stay for the most part seated today. So whether we're lying down or we're kind of sitting on our bums. I'm going to extend my arms out in front of me. Open to the side. Come back and then change directions. Open to the side. Come back. So warming through shoulders, chest, and again a little bit more mid-spine. You'll notice that some are one side even tighter than the other. I definitely feel that in the back there, in the mid-back. Take your gaze with you. See how far around you're getting with that arm. Inhale and exhale. 2 more sides. You're trying to keep the head relaxed, face relaxed, but still maybe pulling into this quite a nurturing movement, quite awakening. Good, and resting there. Excellent, perfect. So lots of work for the spine. I'm going to show you this one face on. Planting the hand down by the side, we're working for a bit of lateral flexing, so we're opening up through one side, extending through the other. I'm going to reach onto one hand, try to keep my hips anchored, open to the side, come back and change side, planting the hand, pull into that top arm and come back. You might notice that your chest wants to round forwards. You'll get a different stretch if you go with that than if you aim to reach up. And I say different because it really isn't the case that one is better than the other. You're just going to get a different feel. You're going to lengthen the muscles around the lower back and the side body in a slightly different way. Let's do 2 more on each side. Inhale, reach. Come back. 1 more each way, and maybe you're changing, you're oscillating between being slightly forward and being slightly upward facing. 1 more. Good, nice, Fiona. Sarah, that looks lovely. So now I'm going to look to open my shoulders a little bit here. Grab the hands behind the head. You probably all know I'm loving this one at the moment. It feels so, so nice on the upper back and on the neck. I'd like to say let's push the throat back here as opposed to tucking the chin, because sometimes when we tuck the chin, all we're doing is bringing our head down. So if you think about pulling the neck back actually in towards the hands, so pressing it in towards the hands. From here, bringing the elbows together. And exhale. And inhale. Elbows pull apart, and you should feel that stretch in the chest. So tucking the neck back. Light pressure against the head. Yeah, sometimes it does help to actively draw that neck back with the fingertips. Curling, opening. Lovely. If you had maybe a glass of wine or something tonight, you might feel that it's quite tight up in the head as well. I sometimes notice that. I have no idea why. I say that because it was port on my table last night. Get a glass of wine. Perfect. So I'll show you this next one side on. I'm going to go for a bind of the elbows, and you'll do this in eagle pose in yoga. One elbow over the next. If you can clasp the hands together, cool. If not, don't worry about it. It's not going to prevent you from doing the move properly, but one elbow under the other. From here, I'm going to take a breath, inhale, and aim to pull the hands up and back down again. Good, aim to draw the hands up, sitting up nice and tall from the tailbone. Closing down the eyes perhaps. Inhale. Exhale down the midline. Inhale. So mobilizing the rear shoulder. How good does that feel? And you know that something is tight when you start to break a real sweat with it. Good, and then changing sides. So let's take one elbow over the other. So we're working on upper body here. It might be that you're grabbing hold of a thumb. Keep the hands together and down. Inhale. Notice how the body responds to your breath, to you trying to move into a space that's maybe a little bit rigid, that you've maybe not used for a while. And again, breath is just letting the body know it's safe, this is okay, you're allowed to go here, it's not going to hurt you. 2 more. And eventually that will enable it to be a space we can use and keep so that in our workouts we can move in healthy patterns. Good, excellent. So just take a moment to roll through the shoulders here. Light rolls, because it's quite a tough one, it's quite intense. Good, and round the other way. Breathing the whole time. And then I'm going to open my arms out to the side. We've done our shoulder drops. And guys, if you're not too comfortable down here, you can bring a pillow up under your hips if you're starting to feel your low back go. Or you can extend the legs, that's totally fine. We're going to do a movement we've done before on our feet, on our knees now. I'm going to reach and roll, grab one hand, twist, drop the shoulder, open back up. Grab the other hand, twist from the wrist, drop the shoulder, and open back up. And you should feel that as a stretch of the chest and the shoulders, as well as the forearms, the wrists. I'm really grabbing my fist, I'm really pulling. Good. Big breaths, lovely. Listen for clunking, clicking, those funny Rice Krispie pops and snaps of the body. It's all completely natural. And take your head with you. Turn your nose towards your armpit, even if it smells. Come back. One more each side. Okay. We're not here to look good or look cool, so smelling a bit is totally fine. Playing a bit as well. Excellent. So we're going to roll on down to our backs now, and we're going to work through a little bit more hip action. We did a little bit right in the beginning, but now it's time to send some more warmth to the hips. So coming back into our bent leg position, drawing the pelvis down to the ground. I'm going to rise up my hips from here. Make sure your shoulders are planted really firmly into the ground. And I'm going to lift a leg, point the leg. From here, I'm going to take a small circular motion around and then plant the foot and change sides. We're only going to do a couple on each side because I'm not looking to exhaust you here. But I want you to think about squeezing the butt to keep the leg steady and squeezing the leg of the one you're doing circles on as well. So squeeze the glute to help you create more range, and you will find that with that you get less clunking. One more on each side. So a bit of glute activation here, lengthening and strengthening together. That's what mobility looks at. Good, and coming down here. Rolling onto our side now. I'm going to get you to take your hand, the hand of the bottom arm, and bring it on the inside of the bottom thigh. The top arm you can place anywhere you like, maybe on the core, but you want your weight to be in towards the floor. From here, the top leg extends, and we're going to do this similar motion, so similar hip car. Take the leg up and round, and then back in again. And you can straighten the bottom leg as well. This is a really good practice if you're trying to get to splits, if you're working on that middle split. Good, and then back and round the other way. So having your arm on the inside of that opposite leg is just going to help you keep it anchored. Oh, round and back the other way. So you'll feel that you have to squeeze the exterior hip and the lateral side of your body to help you pull that leg back round again. I really like this one. Good for the groin adductors, the muscle group there. And good for building strength in the supporting muscles of the core. Awesome. So we're going to change sides now, and I'm going to turn to face you the other way. And bottom leg bent or straight. I prefer straight, but there are no rules here. Keeping that weight in towards the floor and lifting in your straddle or sideline straddle cars. Notice the bottom leg wanting to lift, maybe on one side more than the other. Try to keep your weight down. I've got hand on shoulder here. I think that's me trying to keep myself steady. If that works for you, go there. Only go as far as you can without that bottom knee, bottom leg lifting, and coming back. Listen for clunking in the hip flexors as well. Tough going on the hip flexors. We're doing 5 in total as we did on the other side. Good, so I've got 3 to go here. We're taking our time, there's no rush. You've got plenty of time for your body, always remember that. It does so much for you. So just start to tap into breath again and honor that process. Honor that relationship with your body. Good, 2 to go here. Oh, and I'm starting to get more popping and clicking going on there, but that's okay. As you start to move into more space, possibly you'll feel the same. Ground the bottom leg. One more time. Up and round. Round and back. Really nice. Excellent. So coming into a back base position now, and we did promise a little bit of flexibility here, so we will go with that indeed. Hands underneath both knees, just cupping around behind the knees, making sure you're pressing your throat back into the floor a little bit, just trying to lengthen the back of the neck while we're here. We're going to push both heels to the floor, flex the toes, so flexing your toes is going to be pulling them in towards your shins as opposed to pointing them. And then bend the legs again. And push to straighten and bend. And it's a really, really nice opener for the rear leg. So we're thinking calves, hamstrings, the rear hip there, getting a bit of extension for it as we flex the feet. Good, 2 to go. Inhale to chest, exhale to push. One more time. Perfect. Now lying one leg down, I'm going to reach opposite arm to the outside of the lifted leg. That bottom one can be bent if that feels better for you. I'm just going to draw it across the midline of the body. So you should feel a stretch down the outside of the leg around the IT band area. You might feel it in the low back as it wants to lift. It's not about how far the leg comes. It's about keeping that hip grounded, keeping your weight even across the hips there, the pelvis, as you pull through the center. And again, breathing, telling your body that this space is safe. Hope that rings true to you and that kind of sits well with you today. It's something I've been thinking a lot about in terms of movement. Good, and coming back. And let's change sides. Opposite leg extends. I'm going with a bent leg today. Breathing. Inhale, exhale. Couple more breaths. Notice the hip wanting to lift. It might be good to base that hip to the floor with the opposite hand, perhaps. Guiding it over. Bringing it back down to the floor constantly. Good, and then relaxing from there. So returning, coming full circle to where we began. My hips feel so nice and loose now, actually, just sending them apart. I can feel that sending the knees apart. This is your butterfly, and let's take a few rounds of breath to finish up our class in butterfly. Whatever we have ahead of us today, it can wait for after this moment. So just capturing a little bit of time of de-stress this morning. This week's classes have been all about that for me. Long breath in. Long breath out. You might hear the kind of pitter-patter of the rain. Or snow, or perhaps, depending on where you are. Good, just notice the knees hanging. Maybe they're beginning to hang a bit wider, or simply a bit wider than they were in the beginning. You can check by just running your hands along the thighs, fill the space there in the hips, and returning them to the torso or down by the sides. Let's finish with 3 breaths just as we welcome in our mobility. Two more big breaths. Inhale. Exhale. And one more. And again, hugging knees into the body. Big squeeze, giving ourselves a big hug. Oh, and just setting the intention to have a really enjoyable day. Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me this morning. I really enjoyed this class. It was exactly what I needed. I feel so much warmer in my joints, and I hope you feel exactly the same way. Yes, awesome, decent signal, which is nice as well. So hopefully you can join us for the next mobility class on Monday if you've had fun today. And I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow for body weight.